Probably wise to go with Andrew. I mean, on well-known form and recent form, he should win.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Weekend Watch. We are back after our 1 week sabbatical, I guess we could call it, for the Shergar Cup. York is just around the corner, but we have got some real decent action to get stuck into this weekend. There's 7 races on ITV that we'll be covering. They are bookended by group races. That's been summarised at the end with the Hungerford Stakes, the Group 2, the feature race of the day. As always, this is kindly sponsored by BetMGM, and of the 7 races, the last 4, they are actually offering extra places. So that will come handy, especially for the Hungerford, where there's 7 runners in there. But I'll touch on those as we work our way through. Now, it has been a couple of weeks since we were on the show, but I will just mop up with what we did on the last episode. We gave both winners at Newmarket. Magic Mile was smashed in for me into 5-2 favourite Julia Blige, and Andrew Mount gave us Divina Grace. That was 6-1 in the 240 at Newmarket. Then it was a few places at Goodwood, a few third places. Kate got the best of the nap-off with Great Bedouin in third at 14-1. I had River of Stars come third at 11-2 in the Lily Langtree, and Andrew gave us Biddy Joe 13-2 in the Stewards Cup, who also came third. But onto this week, as I say, there's 7 races we're going to look at. I said that it bookends with the group races, and the first one that we'll kick off with is the Group 3 Geoffrey Freer Stakes. Aasy is instilled as an odds-on favourite in here. I think 3-1 he was a couple of weeks ago. We went off for the Glorious Stakes, but it has been a race that's been won by 3 short price favourites in the last 3 years. Arrest was a 5-6 favourite last year. Aasy is 7 though, guys. I think there's only one other 7-year-old that I can remember that won this. That would have been Mubtakir that won it 3 years on the spin, 2002 to 2004. If we weren't really fancying him in the Glorious Stakes at 3-1, who's mad enough to be putting him up or to be betting him at odds on in this race? Andrew, I'm going to throw the mantle straight to you in here. Aasy, we've got 5 runners, so there is a fear that we could get one that doesn't run, that makes an each-way play out the window. How do you get your head around this one? Is Aasy a play or a lay?
Well, first of all, thank you for not mentioning that I didn't like Aasy when he ran at Goodwood. Thinking that the track wouldn't be ideal. He bombed out on his only previous run there on the undulating track. He's got a great record at Newbury and other flat tracks. And the ground, it's good to firm in the form book, but it was certainly slower than that because they chucked loads of water on, didn't they, before the racing on Saturday at Goodwood. So I'll give myself a sort of semi-pass for getting that completely wrong. But back at Newbury, his favourite track, where he was second to Phantom Flight on his reappearance, I think he's going to take all the beating here because, look at the opposition. Very hard to make cases for Sumo Sam, who needs soft ground ideally. First run after a wind up. I mean, if it was muddy, you'd like to back him in the hope that he could make all. Although Al Qareem is probably going to take him on for the lead. That one ran well enough, didn't he, behind Kyprios at Goodwood. But you look at his wins, he tends to come good in the autumn. His last 3 wins in September, October. He's also won in April and May. It's very rare that he wins during the high summer, June to August period. So I think maybe somewhere like Longchamp in the autumn might be where to go side with him. GoDaddy's been running well, but without winning. Roberto Escobar is hard to fancy, so you just keep coming back to the favourite. So I'm going to get him beat for you by saying he's a play, not a lay.
Oh, nice. A play, not a lay. You've touched on Al Qareem in there, obviously potentially going from the front as well. And you talked about his wins coming in the autumn. A lot of his wins have only come from short distances. We've got a couple of doggies going in, haven't we? And I don't know if Aasy will get the same cover as he got at Goodwood. So you may have noticed that I'm not Kate Tracy. Obviously, I'm Dave stepping in to host this week, which means we've got Super Sub Matty.
Oh, I'm going then if you're not Kate Tracy.
It's a late introduction for you, Matty, but I've kept the viewers in suspense in case they thought that Kate had gone in as a tipster. Andrew's touched on there that Aasy looks like the one that's got the mockers on it because Andrew says that he will now win here. How do you see this one? Look, he's 7 as well. It's a race that's been farmed by 3- and 4-year-olds this century. Does he win?
I mean, Andrew, it's probably wise to go with Andrew. I mean, on well-known form and recent form, he should win. But you just got to take him on. He's just so unreliable. He reminds me of them really talented footballers with just really bad attitude, who just, like Adol Tarat or Rebel Morrison or something like that. And he just thinks to himself, you've got all the ability in the world, why can't I just put it in for once? And so for that reason, I would like to take him on. I mean, I don't think he would have won last time out had Ogier Murphy closed a gap on Valentine as well. As Andrew said, you look through the field, Roberto Escobar's got a very slim chance. Sumo Sam wants it soft ground. Al Qareem as well. It's just, I wouldn't mind taking this one on GoDaddy though. Not a disgrace, had listed company last time out. beating half a length by one with Group 2 form. And I won't pretend to be a French form expert, but that race did throw up Goliath last season, and we kind of know what he's going to do this season. GoDaddy posted a good effort in the King George, the 5th handicap at Ascot, when halted in running as well, ran on to finish 3rd. And generally, horses who win or place in that contest do go on to bigger and better things. And he gets 12. He got to improve on that form still, but he gets £12 from Aasy, who's rated £12 higher anyway. So he's entitled to be there on figures. And just in case Aasy does shirk out of things, hopefully GoDaddy can pick it up.
Awesome. So we've got a good race to kick off with. We've got short price favourite in there. Andrew siding with Aasy this time. Matty's going with GoDaddy. I reckon, just to put a little line in there, it's a race that you're not really going to get very rich on, are you? But you could quite easily go skint if you did steam into Aasy. So go steady. There's better races coming up, which leads me nicely onto the 205 at Newmarket. We've got the Jedisbet Grey Horse Handicap. It's a race that everyone highly anticipates throughout the season. We've got Strike, who won it in 2022, coming back in here now to try and regain his title. But it was Silver Samurai, the 6-year-old, that won it for us last year. We've got 7-2 joint favourites at the time of recording, Fine Interview and First Folio. So, Matty, throwing it back to you. I know this is one you like to get stuck into. So who wins one of the greatest races of the year, the Grey Horse Handicap?
I know you say that in jest, but it probably is a better race than the Group 3 on the Open, isn't it? So yeah, again, not a race I particularly want to get steaming into. Strike is higher in the weights than he did when he won it the other season. First Folio was quite interesting because on his recent form, he's taken a big drop in class, but he just struggles to win at the moment, doesn't he? I mean, I think it was only just beaten in a Class 2 recently, so dropping into a Class 4 in a race full of exposed sorts, first of all, it would have a very obvious chance. Then you've got the weight issue as well, giving weight away to all. Archduke Ferdinand, I thought, dropping back in trip last time out 6 furlongs, only tried it once. Fared really well from the front at York, and obviously York's quite a speedy track. You have to be quite a speedy sort, so I do think that he does possess a speed for 6 furlongs. His last win came at Doncaster, and that was after being beaten at York last season as well. So it could be lightning striking twice, and this more galloping track should suit as well, given stay 7 furlongs. So a very tentative selection for Archduke Ferdinand.
Nice. Andrew, the 205 Newmarket, the Grey Horse Handicap. Are you as excited about the race as I am?
Yeah, if I had a get out of jail free card, I'd be using it here. I do like the race in terms of going to the July course and watching them parade beforehand, particularly in the pre-parade rings. Always nice on a warm summer's day. But in terms of finding a bet, nothing solid. Smaller field than perhaps we've had sometimes in this race in recent years. Last year's winner, Silver Samurai, obviously can't run because they're 0 to 85 and he's now rated 92. He runs elsewhere this weekend. And one I was perhaps more interested in was Mr. Bluebird for Heather Main, who was placed last year. Arguably best over 7 furlongs, but it's run well in all 3 visits to the July course and provided there's a decent pace. It's quite an odd race, this one, because although generally speaking at Newmarket on the July course you want to be up with the pace, we've had loads of winners come from the rear in this one, probably because of the size of the field, and perhaps you've got quite a range of abilities sometimes as well, and they all go a bit loopy sometimes. But I'll go Mr. Bluebird each way. But I think we placed at 10 to 1 last year and 14 to 1 this time around.
Nice, I like that. So we've got 9 runners, 3 places up for grabs. So Matty's chucked up Archduke Ferdinand at a juicy 12 to 1. And Andrew's going for Billy Loughnane's mount, Mr. Bluebird, who is 14 to 1. Those prices are correct at the time of recording. Right, we are back to Newbury. It's a 5 furlong handicap. This looks quite a nice race, I think. I think you two boys, I'm sure you'll be able to find us the winner of this one. We've got the big board put in as short as 11 to 4. He sort of was a general 11 to 4 quote, but he's been pushed out a little bit by Hills to 4 to 1 at the moment. 6 to 1 bar that, with Wolverhampton and McLovin just in behind. So I'm coming back to you again, Andrew. 5 furlong handicap sprint at Newbury. Who wins this one?
Yeah, good question. I mean, it's a big board. Yeah, 4 to 1 from 9 to 4 now. It's a tricky one to catch right. Ocean Murphy taking the ride. Drawn high towards the near side rail, perhaps not the best place to be on recent Newbury evidence, and has been struggling to get her head in front. So it's got a really good record in July. I think 3 of her 4 wins have come in July. She was short-headed last time out, again in July. But does she need a stiffer track? 2 wins at Leicester, 1 at Ascot, although she has 1 at Donny. I'm not totally convinced I want to take that sort of price about it. The one I'm interested in, quite intrigued by actually, is Michaela's Boy for Robert Cowell. There's a few positive angles for this. Robert Cowell rarely gives horses wind operations. He's I think he's 2 from 6 with first-time Windop runners, 14 to 1 and 100 to 30 the winners, or 10 to 3 if your name is Daryl Carter. And again, he's a trainer who does particularly well in 5 furlong handicaps. He does well with newly gelded runners in first-time handicaps, and Michaela's boy has also been gelded since we last saw him. And he also does well with stable switches, particularly when he runs them in 5 furlong handicaps. And again, when this one changed yards previously from Richard Hughes to Mick Appleby, ran second by half a length on his stable debut, was a winner at Windsor on his racecourse debut, first time for Richard Hughes. You just wonder if the change of scenery is going to perk him up. I quite like that store one draw, sort of centre to far side at Newbury. Hopefully will be fairly prominent. It has been in for his previous yards. You no idea if he's going to stick to that running style for new connections. But I just thought Michaela's boy here would, sounds like should be a filly, but it's as a gelding, obviously. So Michaela's boy from store one ran about 8 to 1. Tom Marquand on board, make a winning start for Robert Cowell.
I mean, you've like fully sold it. I mean, the wind-up angle alone, the gelding angle alone, the stable switch alone, Tom Marquand alone, and the fact it's an 8 to 1 poke in there, the draw, everything's going for it. This is a absolute trend horses special in there. 8 to 1 top price at the time of recording, as low as 6 to 1 though, but there are 3 places up for grabs. You might get a sneaky firm that's offering 4 places. Matty, you can't go against the Master Andrew the way that he's pitched that one up. Who would you be putting up to take on Michaela's boy if you are?
I do quite like Kuwait City. For all, Andrew's made a brilliant case for Michaela's boy. We should just touch on the ground first, though. Yesterday it was good to firm at Newbury. Today it's recorded as good. However, there is actually not a going stick available today for some reason. So we've actually no clue what the ground could be. They've walked throughout the week, so it could either be good to firm up, it could be an absolute bog like Chepstow's last week. So we should just err on the side of caution regarding the ground as well. But that's part of the reason why I wanted to put up Kuwait City, who's won on both good firm ground and the soft ground. So there shouldn't be much of an issue there. He's fared much better than the finishing position suggested the last twice as well. Drawn the wrong part of the track at Newbury despite travelling well on the far side. Weakened quickly with the action coming towards the stand side. Did actually strike the front set 2 out there as well. Just shaped like dropping in 5 furlongs would have suited. And also was never put in contest at York last time out. I think Jack Gilligan put in 4 lengths out the back, detaching rear. We know how hard it is to make ground from York. You had to be drawn low, you had to be prominent, and but he did clock the quickest 4th and 5th furlong, so he did he quickened up really smartly when mounting a challenge from rear. But he was given far too much to do, and again just shaped as if a drop and triple to suit. Finally gets back to 5 furlongs. He goes well at Newbury, we know that. All of his 3 career winners have come over 5. £2 below his last winning mark as well, and should get a good toe into the contest. I know the high job might not be a positive, as Andrew mentioned, but all the fancied horses and the ones who are going to run to the 4 are drawn high. So Kuwait City from the rear down and trip should go well.
Nice, I like it. I mean, you're sort of putting me off Andrews because you're selling yours so much, but it is a 5 furlong
Forecast
sprint at Newbury, so anything can happen. Maybe it's one for the forecast, eh? We will move on though. We will move on to Ripon. 32 cards coming from there. We've got an 18 runner handicap to get stuck into. So this is a bit more like it. This is one of the extended places with BetMGM. They're going 5 places here. 6 furlongs is the trip. Ray Vaughan is at the head of the market at 6 to 1, but vying for favouritism is 4 to more as well. We've got Roundhay Park a little bit behind that, 9 to 1. That's the last of the single figure priced horses. 10 to 1 bar, with another bar being that horse. So Matty, I'm going to come back to you. Who wins the 245 at Ripon, please?
Oh, just stick a pin in the paper and hope for the best. It looks nigh impossible to predict, doesn't it? I think the obvious starting point is the course specialist and last year's winner Roundhay Park, who has definitely been campaigned in mind for this race. He's slowly coming back to the boil. Fared well from off the pace at York, £3 lower than that mark last season. But he's kicking on now. He's 9 years old. Could be vulnerable to some younger legs. And again, Origin Trail, she would have been of massive interest had she been coming off the back of that 4-length defeat in Listed Company at Ayr behind Beautiful Diamond and Azure Blue. 2 solid 100 rated fillies. But then she's been beaten fairly twice since, so that tempers enthusiasm. I thought one of interest was Catherine Chroi for Ian Jardine. It hasn't really been seen to best effect in the last 3 efforts. I mean, if you look at her 6 runs for Jardine, she was this season at 6 wins, prominent press leader, prominent, in touch with leaders and press leaders. So we know that she's better from the front. And although there's a sneaky suspicion that she has possibly peaked at a career high mark, you look in those last 4 runs, 7 furlongs didn't suit. Small field of only 4 of the 5 getting involved. It didn't suit either. Then she raced in rear the last twice. So no, those last 2 efforts can be marked up, particularly given we know she wants to go from the front. She was only beaten 2 lengths in the Air Gold Cup trial, despite pulling quite hard throughout. She was one of only 2 runners who comforted farewell from the rear off the pace. The winner was the other one was the winner, Alpha Kalenic, who are probably going to be a black type fully in time. So we can upgrade that. The last time out at Hamilton as well, she raced on an awful part of the track, and it was just like it seemed to be the only part of the track that was cutting up on the far side. All the action came up to the centre / near side, and again she was only beaten 2 lengths as well when unfavourably racing there. So if they have her more prominent this time, I think she could outrun her odds. I know she only ran 4 days ago on Tuesday. But look, she's had no issue to find a 4-day gap in between winners before. So fairly decent odds. If she can bounce back and be prominent, I think she'll go well.
Nice. 20 to 1 pose. Like I said, there's 5 places up for grabs. And you know it's peak flat season time when you're talking about a horse that's gone from 41 up to 74. And as you say, 6 wins this season alone. Andrew, is it another big price selection from you in this race?
Yeah, there is. I think last time I looked, 25 to 1. It just takes time. Coming out of stall 15. Now we're guessing a bit regards to draw. You can drive yourself potty trying to work out which side of the track you want to be on at Ripon, particularly in the Great St Wilfred, which we'll come to later on. The pros about it just takes time. It's a time of year. It's got a really good record in high summer, June, July, and August. 6 wins from 18 starts, big profit. And when he's run within the last 28 days in class 3 or lower companies, 6 wins from 11 starts. Now he ran in the big race, the Great St Wilfred, over the course of distance at this meeting last year. He finished 4th of his group on the wrong side of the track, drawn high when you wanted to be drawn low to middle. And although he ran a stinker at York last time, don't worry about that, given that his 4 runs over the straight track at York have produced pretty horrendous efforts. So yeah, back at Ripon, I thought he could go well here. So yeah, he's a big price too. He's won over course of distance on fast ground. That was in June of last year. Mark Wolford's been among the winners of late. And I might just save on Origin Trail, one that Matty mentioned earlier on, who's coming out of stall 4 on the other side of the track. Course form reads first, second, unplaced, third, second. So the Duck Egg came in class 2 company when poorly drawn. So below that level at the track, never out of the first 3. So if that stall 4 draw isn't an inconvenience, Origin Trail could go well also. But yeah, I like the price about it just takes time.
Nice. We got 20 to 1 Catherine Chroi for Matty, and then 25 to 1 top price. It just takes time. Those prices are, of course, correct at the time of recording, and that was an each way extra place with BetMGM. They're going 5 places in there. Right, we're back to Newbury, the 3 o'clock. This is another good looking handicap, over 7 furlongs this time, 0 to 100. So the class snob in me should be getting a bit more excited. It even allows a 102 horse in here, Streets of Gold, that's topping the weights. We've had Squats win this a couple of years ago, back-to-backs, but it doesn't seem to be a particularly targeted race, or at least I don't think it does. Andrew, is there anything trendy-wise, wind-ups, stable switches, or geldings or otherwise we can use to find an in this one, please?
Yeah, if you're looking at the 10-year trend for this race, you have to realise that it's only been a Class 2 contest for the last 2 years. It was a Class 3 for the previous 8. Now, since it's been upped in grade, both winners ran in the international stakes at Ascot on their latest start. And if you take the race over the last 10 years, when it's been Class 2 and Class 3, 4 winners from 13 runners have prepped at Ascot, be it at any meeting, be it the Royal Meeting or the July meeting there, for a profit of £15. Last year's 3 qualifiers included the 15 to 2 winner and the 12 to 1 runner-up, so there's a nice forecast there for 6 bets. In 2022, there was just 1 qualifier, that one at 7 to 2. There's 2 this year, Star Law and Susanna, so that sort of adds a little bit of weight to that case if you fancy either of those. So I'll certainly sort of play those, I think, particularly Susanna, who's, well, I say play that. Susanna is a real sort of, deep pockets horse. Whoever sort of owns this must want to get involved in the punting side every time. So he always seems to be backed, and he always seems to run an absolute stinker. I mean, since Harry Charlton's name has appeared on the licence, he's finished 9th, 3rd, 7th, and 3rd. Started as favourite on 3 occasions. He was punted again at Ascot last time out, slowly away, came on for 3rd, did best of the closers. You know, that's going to draw people in again. But if you do back him, it'd be a sort of each way or a trade, or maybe play him to sort of finish 2nd, 3rd in the trifecta with a few others. The one I've got in my tracker after that good run at Goodwood against the bias was the Zabriskie Point for the Charles Hills yard. Stable's still a bit quiet, but that 5th of 11 to Witness Stand was a good effort, given that even in that 11-runner field, it was a big advantage to be drawn low. You had to be up against that far side rail and that 7-furlong Whispering Angel handicap, and he was drawn top of the shop in stall 11, which you adjust for the non-runners. And that was a good effort in the circumstances. It doesn't mention sort of being denied a run, but I thought he was hampered, well, you know, sort of switched more than once when the jockey was looking for a run. So Zabriskie Point, I think, is the way I'm going to go in this one. And we mentioned earlier on Silver Samurai won on this weekend last year in the Grey Horse Handicap at Newmarket. Doesn't qualify for that race this time around, but he too could go well. So, and again, I've noticed he's been back from 20s into 12. So, you know, to stop waffling, Star Law, Zuzana, Silver Samurai, and Zabriskie Point are the sort of long list of 4 with preference for Zabriskie Point.
Oh, I like it. And I like the mentions for Zuzana as well, because when you talk about the owner needing deep pockets, there's been 2 or 3 occasions this season where I've backed Zuzana. Pace, I reckon, could be potentially key to this horse. Always has like the same Racing Post finishing comments when he does eventually finish 3rd. Is just the fact they're saying went 3rd, final strides. So, I mean, one of these days this horse is going to go in. 15-2 top price at the time of recording. Suspect it probably will be nibbled in, as you've highlighted as well. And those Ascot trends, I like to hear it. So I think I'll probably be throwing a few more pounds at Zuzana. Matty, did you already have a selection lined up, or has Andrew helped you find one?
Yeah, again, it's not a race that when I looked at it earlier, I just thought it's far too competitive and tricky to kind of just have a serious pop. But I do think Accidental Agent is worth a mention. It's the old boy now, of course, 10 years old. And the fact that he's still in training suggests he must be in good health at home to return this season. He's effectively run off a mark of 87 with Mir Nichols' £5 claim. In the mark of 87, you think last season was beaten off 101 in the Bunbury Cup, although Mir Nichols was claiming 7, but that doesn't fit the narrative, does it? So you think he's so well handicapped on his best form, and he kind of tapered off last time as well. But he returns fresh this season. And also last season, he probably should have taken a competitive racing league contest at Chepstow as well. So there's 2 instances where he probably should have won off marks of 101 and 99. Back off 87 here. Off the track 297 days, but his seasonal debut record is quite good. 2 lengths 5th, 2 lengths 3rd, 3 lengths 3rd, the Lockinge, 4 lengths 5th in the Queen Anne, 2 lengths 4th, a 2 lengths win, and a 2 lengths 5th. So never been beaten more than 3 lengths. Those starting prices have had 9-2, 8-1, 2-1, 33-1, 100-1, 25-1, 13-2, and 7-1. So he's only actually fancied for one of them, but outrun his odds largely the majority of the time. The Yard have hit some form as well. They've been a bit off the boil this season, inconsistent. And I'm just thinking if he can get the breaks, I know it was a habitual slow starter last season, but if he does break away well, he could just have too much class for them and finally get that win.
Oh, I like it. I mean, you've made enough of a case for him that 25-1 about Accidental Agent does look a bit big. And again, I'll just reiterate, it's another extra place race with BetMGM. There are 4 places up for grabs, despite there only being 13 runners. Andrew made a case for a good few in there, but Zabriskie Point was the main play. Right, back at Ripon, it's the Great St. Wilfred Handicap. I think we probably can cut this section quite short, really, can't we? Because Summergand is heading the market in here. The viewers out there won't need me to be tipping this week to know what I might possibly play in here. But it's the plan, isn't it? It's what he did before he goes to York the last couple of years before he won the race, albeit dead heat in last year. He's coming in here. It's just like the race you would expect it to be, right? It's a decent 6-furlong handicap race. There's so many names in here that are basically household names. We've got Mr. Wagyu in there, Wob that's been up on the show many a time before. And of course, we do have Summergand in there. So, Matty, I'm glad that I've ordered this. So I'll be coming back to you as well, because I know you love him too. It's the time of year. Are you on the Summergand train, or have I I don't know, maybe I've ruined everyone. Maybe I'm saying this story too much. Has he actually got a chance? Did he deserve to be favourite, really?
Yes, I am. Not as confident as I think you might be. But I mean, I think the last time I was on, I said, when you put him up at Ascot, I said, fairly sure and confident that he'll be going for the Great St Wilfred at Ripon. And so wait until then. So I can't back out of it now, can I? He's here now. Beating off an £8 higher mark in this last season, wasn't it? When 92 favourite. He's held his form well this season. Beating 5 lengths in the Stewart Cup and probably unfavoured by the track position. Wasn't put into the race in international stakes. Ran a good race in the Benwood Cup as well. My only slight concern is he didn't look completely out of place over 7 furlongs there. And I just wonder whether he's got the gears at this stage in his career for 6 at Ripon. It's a quite sharp track. So although he just does look completely and obviously plotted out for it, we know what O'Meara's like once he has these times as well. And he could win this and then go into York next week and win the Constantine final handicap, I think it is. Or the one over 6 furlongs anyways. He could just do the double again, like he tried to do last season. So I do think he is an obvious candidate to us for the market, and it'd be probably mad not to have a couple of quid in there. But the other one who I did like as well was Dare to Hope. He was given absolutely no chance in the Stewards Cup on short of room race on the far side. He had to be drawn high toward the near side. Potentially unlucky at York when drawn unfavourably toward the near side in 13. First and second were drawn 1 and 3, and the winner came right up the far side. And the handicap has dropped to £2 for last time out, drawn more favourably in 16 this time. And so now maybe the time of catching. Still well treated on some good 2-year-old form. Course and distance winning this class last September. So if Summergan isn't all quite speed enough at this stage in his career, I do think Dare to Hope will come from the rear and pick them up.
Nice. I think we do need to get some balance on this though, because as much as it's become, I wouldn't have said necessarily that it's like a running joke with Summergan. Like I do think him to have some chances. But as you touched on there, Matty, I know his wins have all come at 6 furlongs, but I do think he's looked okay at 7. He is, of course, a 10-year-old. And Andrew, so many times on this show we've talked about him being a price, and he's always been, I don't know, tight enough even when he's been 12s or 14s. Yes, he may be plotted for this race. Yes, it may be the right time of year. He's a 10-year-old and he's 7 to 1. So I think even I will be struggling to make a case enough to want to back him in this race. Matty's obviously told a little bit of a story there. I'm imagining you must be well against him.
It's tricky because he's always one I've had marked down as to back in the month of August. That's 14 runs in August, 6 wins, 4 seconds. 2 fourths and a fifth probably were paid out each way on that, and a 14th at Goodwood last time when he was drawn out of it, and they were running on overwatered ground, which didn't suit him. So you can make it draw a line through that. So he was 92 favourite last year, as Matty said. He got beaten ahead. I mean, this is the GSW, the Great St Wilfred, but I think it felt like the gunshot wound instead. If you'd backed him last year because you felt you'd been shot. It was a bit of a gutter if you were on, although I think most people with Summergan backed him each way. So yeah, is Stall 18 any good? We don't know. Maybe we'll get some hints in the earlier race, that earlier sprint we've already discussed. So yeah, would it surprise me if he won? No. Do I want to back him at or probably be sort of 4 or 5 to 1 on the day from what might be a bad draw? No, I don't. The other angle as well is the pace. In this race in the last 10 years, 98 horses were ridden patiently, getting a pro form pace abbreviation of H for held up. One of those won from 98, loss of £90 to £1 level stake. 6 winners made all. 6 from 80. Well, sometimes you get 2 or 3 disputing the pace, and 3 other winners were prominent. So has he got the right pace of running style? I know he went close last year, but it's hard to come from too far back over this course and distance, particularly in this race. If you just opposed horses who were ridden patiently the last time out, you'd have only laid 2 winners from 90 runners and made a good profit. So yeah, that's a worry. I mean, weight wise as well, generally you want to be carrying 9 stone 1 or less in this race, so he's all right on that angle. But yeah, it's just on value grounds I'll take him on. The ones I was looking at, Radio Gugu won his sole start here, never won after June, but still 7 should be okay for her. Wob 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 was 3rd in this race last year when Visors for the first time won the race on the near side when Sophia Starlight and Summergan were racing on the opposite side of the track. So I thought that Goodwood run was better than it looked. That 6th place last time out. And Yeah, so those were the sort of the three I was looking at really: Summerhand, Rob, and Radio Gugu. I mean, looking at the prices, our Go Radio Gugu has been well supported, sort of 14s into 11. Another interesting stat on this race: in the last 10 years, 36 runners were ridden by an apprentice jockey, and they all got beat. And you'd have expected between 2 and 3 winners based on that. So looking through it, there's a few sort of relatively fancy ones who've got claimers on, like Ramazan 10-1 third in, and sort of, you know, going a bit further down, there's sort of William Piles on Amarada Prince, Secret Guest, Andrew Breslin. So it'll be interesting to see if how those fare. But yeah, I'll go Radio Google, but it's probably a race I'm not going to bet in.
Yeah, I like it. It's one of those, isn't it? It's very much, we can see him at the front of the market. Lots of people will say that he's been plotted for it and saved for it, but we just don't know, do we? There's lots of positives, there's lots of negatives. There are 5 places up for grabs, though. I mean, there's 19 runners in the race, so I think it's the minimum book he should be doing. But MGM have gone for the extended places in there, so who knows? And it could be a nice setup for York. It's a decent race for watching all the same. So it was Summergand and Dare to Hope for Matty, and then Radio Gugu on the short list of 3 for Andrew, but dare I say, not massively confident. One race we should be confident in, though, guys. It's a Group 2. It's the best race of the day. It's the Hungerford Stakes. We're back at Newbury. It's the 3:35. I touched on this at the start of the show. BetMGM are an extra place in this. We've only got 7 runners, but they're offering 3 places. I think we could well need that in here because it's 11-4 English Oak, 3-1 Kikuli, and then it's 5-1 bar that. We've got last year's winner Witch Hunter in at 5-1. We've got Tiber Flow in at 5-1. It looks a real competitive race, to be honest with you, but I don't know. I've looked at some of the bits with this race in the past, and I can't remember very many 5-year-old winners of the race. So Tiber Flow, Witch Hunter would be trying to sort of thwart that number, but I don't really know how many have tried. But I'd imagine quite a few would have done. 3- and 4-year-olds do seem to farm it. English Oak's the only 4-year-old, and then Kikuli that I've touched on is one of 2 3-year-olds that's in here. It's just interesting, isn't it? Tiber Flow's coming back to well, when he ran at York before, and he obviously had that fall, he didn't really look like, we didn't know what was sort of happened with him after. Then he goes to Haydock and wins at the John O'Gaunt, and then he runs a little bit poor at Goodwood, but he wasn't too far behind English Oak. There's a bit of a price difference between the two of them. It just looks a bit of a minefield of a race. I tried to get stuck into this one to see if I could find a Napo in here. I spent quite a long time on it, and I couldn't really whittle down any sort of value price in there. So Andrew, I'm going to hand the mantle to you and hope that you've been able to solve this puzzle, please.
Well, just going on the age stats to start with. So this century, you had 13 4-year-old winners. You'd made a profit of over 50 quid back in those blind. 6 3-year-old winners. 5-year-olds, 2 from 43. Expected winners, 5.36. So they have underperformed as a group. The thing is, the first thing I noticed about this race was where's the pace? There isn't any. 7 horses, 7 hold-up horses. So who's going to put pace to the race and sort of, and change their running style? I don't think anybody's going to want to, particularly because it will probably compromise or potentially compromise their chances. So you're really, you're really guessing here as to what's going to, how it's going to be run. So you sort of then come to jockeys, and you think, well, which jockey's got the biggest brain? And you think, well, yeah, they're generally, all good here, aren't they? So, yeah, who knows how it's going to be run? It might be one for sort of, in-play betting only. I wasn't massively taken by Kikuli after that run at Deauville last time out. Obviously, I'm going to make a case for Witch Hunter, because I always do when he runs on straight tracks. Put him up as an each-way bet when he was 4th at Ascot behind Charon, so 80s one into 40s one, and when he was 3rd in this race behind Audience. Got been a long way that day, but you still got paid out on the place part. 33s into 22s. 7 furlongs, arguably his optimum trip. Cheddar wouldn't have suited last time out, so that's good that he's coming here on the back of a defeated on a left-handed track. So he's probably going to bounce back and run some sort of race here, you would have thought. But it's just, how is he going? Who's going to make the pace? Will they just sort of dawdle along? Who knows? But if there was 8 runners and 2 or 3 front runners of prominent races, I'll be quite happy to put up Witch Hunter each way, even at 5-1. So he won this race last year, and I'll go with him as well. So if you, looking at the official ratings, it's pretty tight there, isn't it? And I suppose you could make a case for Fulgaria getting the fillies allowance. Marco Bottas runner, ridden by Holly Doyle, who has got a brain when it comes to tactics and might sort of try to go forward on this one. Although you know, the last 3 runs since she's joined this yard are all, you know, she's been ridden patiently. So who knows? But yeah, Witch Hunter would be my each way if you can get those 3 places.
I like it. Well, BetMGM are offering those 3 places, so you can definitely get it there. It's mad as well, mate. You've got the 7 runners in it. We've talked about quite a few of them. Witch Hunter, Fulgario, Popmaster, and Jumbie, the 4 relative outsiders. I mean, Witch Hunter's joint 3rd favourite with Tiber Flow. They're all course and distance winners. You've got Kukuli in there, the 3-year-old that's only ever won a maiden stakes. Yes, was a short head behind Hartem in the Jersey. English Oak winning at the same meeting at Royal Ascot, but that was technically only a handicap win at the Buckingham Palace. For all that, he was very impressive. Andrew's touched on the 5-year-old stats there kindly for me to say that they're sort of underperformed, but sometimes you can read into that maybe they're due a winner. So I don't know. I was sort of leaning towards Tiber Flow, Witch Hunter, one of them 2, trying to find the winner from 2 of them. Andrew's obviously touched on Witch Hunter there as a selection, so that doesn't really help me in any way, shape, or form now. But Matty, can you whittle it down to help me find the winner of the Hungerford Stakes, please?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the rank outsider in Jumbie. I am glad that Andrew's touched on the pace, 'cause, as you mentioned, there's nothing that wants to go forward. Jumbie has won when being in touch with leaders before, so I just wonder whether with William Buick back aboard, he'll have the tactical nous to kind of jump out and go forward. I know that he's a bit of a keen going sore and he does need cover at times, but that run last time out was a big bounce back to form. I mean, the yards, as we touched on earlier, accidental agent, the yards horse haven't been in form whatsoever this season, really, and neither has Jumbie. But look, he finished 3rd, beating length, giving £16 and £18 away to the 2nd and 3rd. Had an RPR there of 105. That's the 2nd highest last time out RPR in this field, only a pound below the Kikuli, who was 106. So that kind of shows you the weakness of this contest. And on that evidence alone, Jumbie has no business being the outsider. Won this race in 2022 after being beaten 5 lengths in the international stakes with William Buick back on board as well. He's won 3 times on him, I believe, and with quite a few places too. So I just think that, I mean, that bounce back to form, he's turned out a week later on. If he's in good health at home, he's won the race before. He could easily bounce back. He could easily just go from the front and make a call and win.
I like it. It's easy as that, then, isn't it? We'll just back the last 2 winners of the race, pair of them, and then we should be well away. But it looks like we're all sort of against the front 2 at the market. It just looks a fascinating race.
What we'll find is we'll have 4 of them disputing the lead at a million miles an hour. And something will come. Jamie Spencer will come over the top on Witch Hunter anyway.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for, aren't we? It does look a real fascinating race. Of course, we like to find some winners on the show, but when there's races like this and they're just good watching races, this will be one that is going to be a fascinating watch. So that does bring us to the end of the 7 ITV races that are covered. I'll come to you boys for anything from anywhere else. I'm just going to quickly touch on, not going into too much depth, but over in the Chroi on Saturday, there's a couple of decent races, a couple of group races. Group 3's continuous runs in the 4 o'clock, the Royal Whip Stakes, and then the race after, the St. Ledger Trial Stakes. You've got Grosvenor Square for Aidan O'Brien and Ryan Moore, and last year's Ebor winner Absurd going for Willie Mullins. That's in the 4:35. So a couple of good races over there. But boys, apart from the ITV7 that we've covered, do we have anything from anywhere else? Andrew, I'll come to you first, please.
Yeah, I got 3 actually. The 215 at the Chroi, 5 furlong handicap. Our old mate Thunder Bear. Like small fields, 4 wins from 9 starts in fields of 9 or fewer runners. Store one should ensure that she's on the outside of the track and doesn't meet trouble in running. I thought she'd go well at a price under a big weight. She's won a handicap under 10 stone 4 previously, I think. And the 450 at Doncaster, Born to Rock. First run for a new yard. George Scott is 4 from 8 at the first time of asking with new acquisitions since the beginning of last year. Profit of almost £23 to a £1 level stake. I wrote this one up in Racing and Football Outlook when she was down the field in the Chartwell Fillies Stakes, a Group 3 contest over 7 furlongs at Lingfield on the turf earlier this year. She looked to be the only front runner in the race, but she was drawn low and she just stayed straight to a draw down the middle of the track rather than coming across to the Golden Highway. And in the circumstances, I thought she ran all right. Now, her only win came over 5 furlongs, and her new trainer is quick to put her over that trip and in a handicap as well. So Born to Rock there, 450 at Donny. And finally, 515 at Newbury. I thought Ciro de Marzio might go well. First time blinkers is a positive angle for race backing.
Oh, nice. 3 of them in there. Go on, Andrew. That's nice. We've got some extra selections thrown in there. I'm sure there's definitely a winner within there, at least one of them. Matty, anything from anywhere else from you?
No, I'm going to keep the powder dry for York next week.
Disappointing after Andrew's chucked up 3 there, but at least we've got a few extra ones. Right, Matty, I'm going to throw it straight back to you then. Nap time. Who is your best bet of the ITV7 races?
I'll go with Kuwait City in the 225 at Newbury.
Ooh, very nice. And then Andrew, you can extend yours because you've got 3 extra selections. So what's
Yeah,
your...
I was tempted to go Michaela's Boyd, but as Matty's gone that race, I'll go for Thunderbear and that 215 at the current.
Lovely. And then we can get on the cocktails after that one goes in, the old Nymphadora of Thunder Bears. Right. Thank you very much, guys, for your insight for this weekend. It does look like there's some pretty decent racing. Like I say, we're sort of kickstarting our way into York, but there's still some good stuff to get stuck into. So we've got the NAP selections on there. At the end of the show, there'll be the visual for all the selections in there. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate your support. So make sure you are liking the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we will see you all again next week.